What if algebra began here, like on the African soil? What if the first surgeries were taught not in Europe, but in temples along the Nile? And what if writing was born from our ancestors' symbols long before pens ever touched parchment in the West? For centuries, Africa has been framed as the student, never the teacher. The world celebrates our reading, but forgets our reason. However, a legacy waiting to be claimed hid beneath its silence. Let's uncover how African soil contributed to the sciences in the world. Africa had already trained its first doctor before Hippocrates ever swore an oath. This African is Imhotep, a priest, architect, and physician. He pioneered some methods we now call modern medicine. Also, an Egyptian Edwin Smith Papyrus. Medical text explained over 40 surgical transactions in detail, including treating skull fractures, spinal injuries and wounds, through trainings from Imhotep, who utilized diagnosis before Europe's scientific revolution. Long before labs and white coats, they were ants, grinding, blending, healing. Modern medicine is finally discovering what African healers must have known for centuries. To take one instance, the Artemisia plant, which was long used by African healers, is one of the foundations of the world's strongest anti-malarial drug. Similarly, other plants used by Africans are now gaining attention in modern medicine, such as the devil's claw of Namibia for treating arthritis, Madagascar periwinkle for treating leukemia, and many more. Let's talk about African writing. Imagine entering a quiet chamber and feeling the walls breathe through symbols, not air. Lines of details are marked across every stone, revealing stories in symbols older than most writings. Then you realize they are not just letters, they are reflections. Reflections of kings, healers, scribes, and ancestors, with each word as a vessel of thought. Before today's alphabet, Africa had already written its history. Africa's scripts were quietly speaking truth, while the world focused on Mesopotamia or China. An instance is Metu-Neter, what many call hieroglyphics. It was more than language, it was sacred. Each symbol held spiritual, philosophical, and administrative meaning. These were royal decrees and spiritual texts, tools to speak with gods, to preserve order. Each stroke held weight, some weren't just words, they were moral codes, guided by Mahat. In southeastern Nigeria, a script was already thriving before European boots touched the soil. It was Nsibidi. Nsibidi wasn't meant to be read. It was to be understood. Its symbols spoke of love, war, justice, without a single word spoken. It was language. It was memory. It was art, drawn from the stars, the animals, and the unspoken codes of community. This was a coded cultural archive, worn, lived, and passed on. And in Ethiopia, another script has endured. It is the Ge'ez. Ge'ez is among the oldest alphabets still in use today for sacred and scholarly work. Through it, stories were written, commentaries preserved, faith recorded. It is often said that Africans had no writing system in the past. To say Africa had no writing system is to erase an entire continent's voice. Also, African was present in astronomy. There were people on this planet who had knowledge of the sky before the invention of telescopes. Africans were one of them. African astronomy was never just prediction, it was philosophy. For instance, the Dogon people of Mali possessed an incredible knowledge of the Sirius star system, prior to modern science confirming that Sirius had a binary companion, Sirius B. Dogon oral traditions had described its existence, orbit, and density. While some have debated the source of their knowledge, none have disproven the fact that the Dogon created an in-depth astronomical tradition. In Egypt, the stars governed daily life. According to research by Martins, it is clear that all the calendars proposed verify the vivid existence of the relationship with the stars. The calendar system, which divided the year into 365 days, was founded on the Iliacal rising of Sirius and its connection with the Nile's flood. In Kenya, stone pillars were a lunar clock. For the Turkana, it aligned with stars to mark harvests. Mathematics was in our daily life. This is the Ishango bone, carved nearly 20,000 years ago in Central Africa. Its markings suggest multiplication, division, even prime numbers. According to a researcher, the markings on the bone point to a primitive lunar calendar or numerical system, proving that only Africans were far from being numerically naive. Then came Egypt, whose level of sophistication that continues to amaze us today. The construction of the pyramids of Giza was not guesswork. It was the precise application of geometry, trigonometry, and a sense of balance and proportion to the exact degree. Mathematics wasn't separate from society. It helped predict floods and manage land. Even temple design followed the stars, built on principles we now call geometry. What we learn in classrooms today once lived in the rhythm of African life. These are not just memories from the past. They are chapters of human civilization itself. We didn't wait for enlightenment to arrive. They were already building, observing, healing, and thinking. Yet, much of this has been misrepresented and forgotten. So, our task now is to remember, reclaim, and rebuild on the knowledge from the past. Africa's intellect is not to be discovered. It existed while the ground was still red, and it still does.